Hello, and welcome back to another ZipDeal Conversation. In today's session, we're taking a hard look at one of the most overlooked profit levers in retail automotive, your dealership's reputation. That's right. CSI scores, online reviews, and the delivery experience are often treated like side metrics, but the truth is they directly influence revenue, retention, and long-term market share. Most dealers aren't held back by customers unwilling to leave feedback. They're held back by inconsistent processes that fail to capture it. So once again, we're joined by Marlo Mason, ZipDeal's National Director of Client Success. By the way, if you haven't connected with her on LinkedIn yet, you're really doing yourself a disservice by not doing so. So jump over to LinkedIn and make sure that you follow Marlo. She spends her days working directly with dealers across the country. She sees firsthand where revenue leaks occur and how to basically be more consistent with intentional delivery experience that closes all those gaps that exist with so many dealers. Her insights will cut right through theory and get straight to what's actually happening. That's why I always love talking to her about ZipDeal. In this conversation, we're going to explore why reputation is becoming one of the most predictable drivers of profit and how automation is reshaping the delivery and review process. Also, we want to see what really separates top performing stores. So if you're ready to understand the link between consistency, customer experience, and real revenue impact, this session is going to deliver exactly that. So let's dive in. Hi, Marlo. How are you?
Hi, thanks, Sean. Always happy to be here. Thank you. And yes, CSI and online reviews aren't nice to have metrics. They are a profit engine for sure.
100%. And I'm really glad we're talking about it today. Everyone says that CSI matters. It's almost like we're compelled, or dealers are compelled, or people in the industry, like we got to know what it is and why it matters. But it really does. And online reviews very much matter. But why do they matter financially? What makes reputation a profit center?
Reputation means trust, right? It shows the customers are trusting you and they value you, that they were valued when they were in to buy the vehicle and how they were treated. And so in my opinion, it's a huge compliment that the customer takes their time to provide that feedback, one, out of their sincerity, and two, because they know it will help other shoppers. Why we leave reviews for all kinds of products we buy, but in an industry where there is the reputation of distrust or not complete transparency, all the more that an online review really speaks to the dealer's reputation and the trust that the customer has. When the customer walks in and they've read these positive reviews, the anxiety is lower, the confidence is higher, and that confidence just makes much less friction throughout the whole buying process.
So true. And, I don't know about you, but I actually filter oftentimes by reviews before I'm really that fixated on what the cost or the price is, because it's kind of in the ballpark. And I don't know, there's probably studies on that, but I think that's so important. I'm glad that we're talking about it because I think dealers sometimes, in the throes of battle, you sometimes forget about some of those things that are actually critically important that I don't know, maybe just you get to a point where you're a little bit, I don't know, you feel like you've heard it enough and like you kind of know, and it could be costing you. And I know in our last discussion, you had said that most dealers aren't losing opportunities, they're not even presenting them, which is so true. I was hoping that maybe you'd kind of reframe or reiterate. What does that mean to you?
Exactly that. It's not that revenue is lost from customers saying no. It's that they were never even presented the opportunity
Mm.
to see an accessory presentation, to get F&I product previews, to be asked for referrals, online reviews. Obviously, these steps get skipped constantly, not intentionally, just because the salesperson may be stretched thin or tired, or maybe it was a tough deal. But when those steps are skipped, CSI drops, reviews drop, and that all leads to a retention drop and definitely a revenue drop. So automation, particularly ZipDeal's automation, fixes all of that.
Mm. We talk about it in the marketing world all the time. I talk about it all the time. Like, people don't buy what they don't know exists. So
Mhm.
if you don't present these things, it's one of these things that I love you reiterating, and sometimes for some dealers presenting to them the first time these what can seem as obvious, but working in the dealer world actually is it's challenging. There's a lot of boxes to check on every single
Mhm.
deal. But if they're not presented, how would anybody ever say yes or no to them? So I think it's really critical that these things are really brought up so the dealers can kind of think through. There's got to be a better way. Want to ask you your thoughts on how you think improving CSI and the delivery experience of the vehicle translate into profit at the dealer.
Again, I think it's that customer mindset. First of all, they've seen reviews, so they walk in confident. That reduces friction. That makes them more apt to say yes. When they get in there and they see that the process is efficient, they can look around the showroom. Everyone's really at the same spot, tempo, pace. That is driven by an automated process. So what ZipDeal can do is not only consistently every single customer, but at the right time.
Mm.
So while that euphoria is still high, just after they said yes, okay, then let's look at some accessories. Then let's learn a little bit more through product previews for F&I products. And also, while they're happy, let's at that moment ask for the online review. We even do a quick in-store check. How are we doing so far? So there's an opportunity to notify a manager to step in and correct something in real time, not after they've left the store.
Mm.
So anything that you can resolve in the moment, obviously, is going to just reassure that customer that they've made the right decision and that they're going to be well taken care of. Um, when customers feel that they are being valued, they're just more apt to say yes.
Mm. That's so true. I've said it before in conversations with you and others at ZipDeal. There are a lot of dealers that left a lot of money on the table with me personally
Mm.
that I would have spent in accessories because I was going to go do that work anyway. And someone else got it. Somebody else got all of that, the labor, the parts and accessories themselves. But I love what you also just said there, that ZipDeal has this kind of built-in safety net component of that. How are we doing so far, that you can capture the fact that maybe things aren't great from at least one side of the equation and mitigate that and get it back on track while they're still there. I love that. I love that you guys are also tuned into, like you use the word, euphoria, or that euphoric feeling, because that is the car buying experience.
Mhm.
And everybody at ZipDeal always kind of talks about, hey, you want people going over the curb in their new vehicle. It's like a happy day. Like, you want it to be something that they love so much that nothing compromises that. And certainly this CSI and delivery experience needs to be something that people think about together. Like,
Mhm.
you're gonna compromise areas of your business that actually do cut into where you're going to be making profits if you're not thinking about it. I know that you shared, and I want you to share it today in the conversation, where you guys helped a store that was, I think, at a 2.9. I want to say that they were sub 3 stars and got them over 4. I think 4.2. You can correct me if I'm wrong on that. How does a big review swing like that affect the bottom line for a dealer?
Oh, this is one of my favorite recent case studies. Yes, as you mentioned, we are in real time while the customer's still sitting there, texting them a link to leave a review. The dealer can choose which review site. So Yelp, Google, DealerRater. So this particular group, 3 locations. One of them was really struggling with DealerRater, had great Google. So they didn't need more where we had been sending the clients to leave the reviews on Google. So, I mean, it's literally in a minute, we can switch that. And then the link that the customer receives went to DealerRater. So there was a marked immediate improvement. As soon as they saw that for the 1 point, they said, okay, the other 2, let's switch those as well. So the first one, it was just a weak DealerRater score, especially when there's lower volume. It only takes a few to really affect how low it was. So in 9 weeks, they went from 2.9 to 4.2. Another store was already in the fours and they went up to 4.8. The third point didn't even have a rating because they didn't have enough reviews in a set amount of time. So no rating at all. They literally just last week hit a 4.0. So between our automated review routing, whichever site you want to direct the reviews to, we can do that. Dilution of older, maybe negative reviews, because what we do is through consistency, we build the volume. So asking every customer, sending them where you want them to go, can also dilute any older negative reviews by just building up the volume of current ones and better scores.
I
You
love
asked,
that.
and you said, how does that relate to financially, the revenue side of it? So that's the how we did it. But the actual tangible effect is the shoppers that see that. We know that positive reviews, higher scores will drive more traffic. And it's always that numbers game. So you need more traffic to make more revenue, and also having them come in feeling confident about the experience and the deal they're going to get. It's just all connected.
Yeah, I love this. It's so critically important that dealers realize this, and it's not a new thing. So some people know this. I know that you know this. But if you're in your Apple CarPlay connected vehicle, me, and I'm like, hey, find me XYZ dealership, or find me the closest Toyota dealership, and it's going to bring up a bunch of Toyota dealerships. Do you want this one? Do you want this one? Do you want directions? Do you want me to call? It's also going to show me all the reviews there. If I'm in that Apple environment, it's not showing me your wonderful Google reviews. It's pulling in Yelp. The relationships between the big tech platforms, you kind of got to know some of these things. And like I said, I mean, this is not a new thing. This is maybe 10 years, 8 or 9 years at least old, that this is the way that this has worked. But what you just said is so critically important. And I want the dealer audience to really realize that you just dropped something very valuable. For you to be able to have one of many things that ZipDeal can do is we can now start to funnel something to take 2.9 to 4.2. But holistically, you have to think about everything that's happening there, because some people are going to be influenced by the Google review they see. Others are going to see it because they're in CarPlay all the time and they're seeing your ratings that are pulled from Yelp or DealerRater or other sources. That's huge. That's so significant because it's all connected. I could go on and on. Should we do a 4-hour episode today, Marlo? A long one? No, the audience doesn't want to go 4 hours, but they probably want to know a little bit about automation. So that's where I want to go next.
Okay.
From your perspective, why do you think automation is so essential as it relates to CSI and reviews?
Because humans are humans. Steps are going to get skipped. Every deal is different. So if you believe you have a singular process, I guarantee, based on how the consultant's performing and feeling that day, how that customer is reacting, there's so many variables that without the automation, it just leaves too many things up to chance, and profit never happens by chance. It happens by fine-tuned processes. The problem is dealers measure what gets sold, right? Not was the process followed, or, how many opportunities were presented. Those aren't tangible. So ZipDeal ensures every customer receives a professional experience. Every customer gets the right prompts at the right time. They get their first service appointment set. They get to see F&I product previews. So all of those things that really elevates the client experience, elevates the team, and just, it really removes the inconsistency, which is where the profit leaks.
Mm-hmm. So true. Also, what's your thought from your perspective on how reputation influences long-term retention?
Sure. If I've had a good experience somewhere, I am just that much more likely to return there. if it's been a positive experience, or I look at the reviews, if I'm first time and I see other people have had a positive experience, that's obviously going to help the confidence. But once they get in there and it is what they saw and read before they came in, why take a chance on another dealership, another service center, or an independent service? They have then developed the trust in you, from what they saw beforehand, what they experienced in store. So why else, why go anywhere else? They like that creature of habit to revisit what they know, what's comfortable for them.
It's so true. I mean, I kind of chalk this up in the category of if you're still working actually hard for loyalty with your
Mhm.
customers, right? And part of that is caring about your reputation. Some dealers will sell a car at any cost, including their reputation.
Mhm.
And you don't want to be that store because I think there's a shelf life to operating that way. You need every tool in your belt, in your toolbox, in your tool chest that you can get that helps with these things. I totally agree with you that having a strong reputation like that is what would make me, like the people that I work with, the dealers that I am loyal to, they all have great reputations.
Yeah.
And that's why I continue to take business there, and they get my dollars.
And we've talked about how, a dealer has an ideal that they are striving for, that they expect their client experience, but they are dependent on their team. And, you know, when they read some of the less than stellar reviews, that really gives them line of sight and opportunity to correct something. Maybe it was just a bad day for that salesperson, or maybe they have a real issue and, something wasn't presented the way that they expect it to be presented. So it's, I think, a huge tool as well for dealers to see what they can't see because they can't be in every deal, what went on. And
Mhm.
not that, it's anything major, intentionally done, but it is a huge opportunity to correct some deficiencies that sales consultants, sales managers may not be aware of how things are being presented to the customer. So
Mm,
huge opportunity for coaching there, gives them real line of sight.
mhm. Yeah, totally agree. Let's talk about a myth. I guess at least from your perspective, what do you think the biggest myth dealers believe about CSI or online reviews or both?
I think the biggest myth is, oh, we ask for reviews. We always ask for reviews.
Mm,
I think some customers do without ZipDeal. I think some customers don't. With ZipDeal, it's every single time. So I think it's really, again, the dealer, the GM, the manager has an ideal that they believe is occurring. But they don't have a means to measure whether it actually was asked for. Did the consultant actually say, oh, would you mind taking a few moments? It really means a lot to us. And, future shoppers, if you would leave a review, our Google business site, shoppers don't even always know exactly how to get there, or if it is Yelp or Dealer Rater, but we text them a link. We make it really easy. So when a dealer says, oh yeah, we asked for reviews, I think if you compared the volume of reviews they're getting versus the units sold, I think they would see that there is a break in that process, and it's happening sometimes. ZipDeal, it happens every time.
See, again, I'm probably the broken record of saying I love that, I love that, I love that, but I love that, and it's because I'm an internet car guy. I'm a car guy, but I'm like I get all this stuff. So when you're sharing things like that, immediately I think of things that are so important, and I have had conversations recently about this topic with former dealer principals, general managers, where they're like, we had to kind of make it a condition of employment that the salespeople would ask. And here's the process. And if you don't have these, then maybe you miss your deals. And now you're talking about a whole change management issue within your team that's much, much bigger than, hey, we've added this new cool thing called ZipDeal, and we're never going to miss a single one of those again. Right now, it's been accommodated by something that's I guess you could put it into the category of working smarter, not harder. And I love that. And I don't think that those are things that um, dealers often have the time to kind of stop and smell the roses and like, oh my goodness, that's huge. That is a very, very significant part of many that bring value from ZipDeal to the dealer. Like, you'll never miss that again. You won't have this change management issue. You won't have grumbling team members who are like, why are you doing those? Like, I got to remember. We're going to accommodate all of that. It's really, that's very significant. But I'll pivot. If a dealer wants to honestly assess their CSI and review process today, where would you recommend that they start?
Yeah, I think probably 2, 3 questions. First and foremost, I believe if you have a process, but it's not written, you don't have a process. So is the process for generating consistent volume online reviews written? Again, if it's not written, then what do we have in training for a new hire? Just somebody verbally telling them what to do? And when you're a new hire and you're going through orientation, you're going to retain 20% of it. So first and foremost, if you think you're asking for reviews and you have a process to generate more online reviews, to move a score, if it's not written and documented, it's not being trained and it's not happening. That's for sure. I would say also, are you measuring the presentation of it? And how do you do that? And that's a hard one because you can't be there for every deal. So how do you really measure if it was? Quite honestly, I don't know how they would, but if you have a process, it needs obviously to be measured. So you can measure the after effect, how many reviews you actually got, but how many did you miss because there was no presentation? And again, that's where with ZipDeal, we are showing you this is how many deals you had, this is how many had a zip deal, this is how many review links were sent out. And you can literally compare the clients that went through ZipDeal, got the link, and then left the review. So very tangible, very measurable, like any process should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was hoping that you wouldn't mind explaining or giving your thoughts on how better review experiences improve F&I penetration.
Definitely. It is the mindset of the customer when they walk in. So how confident they feel or how guarded they are. How are they going to be open to recommendations? So when they've seen the positive reviews in a positive way, their guard is down because they already have a level of confidence. And confidence equals yes. Anxiety equals no. So the reputation gives that new buyer the confidence. And when they come in feeling confident and empowered that they're going to get a good deal, get a good experience, then the F&I manager's job is a lot easier. There's a lot less apprehension to overcome because the customer feels confident.
Yes, so true. I always appreciate your perspectives because you're so tremendously experienced on both sides of our industry. And I don't know that people always know or appreciate that about you, but you're coming at this from understanding the retail environment, just like you understand the service provider. I hate the word vendor, but it is what it is. But ZipDeal is a service provider, a very important one. But when you share all of these things and you answer these questions and we have these conversations, it is also so informed by this deep experience that you have on the retail side of the business as well. And I think that's why your clarity of answers is so relevant. And I know the audience appreciates that. One of the things, I only have a couple more questions for you, but one of the things that is a pretty common theme when we talk that you share a lot about is consistency. And so I wanted to kind of swing back to that topic of consistency and ask, why is inconsistency actually the real enemy of CSI?
Definitely. Even your best salespeople will miss steps. It happens. they get pulled into another delivery. They need to help somebody else do a spot. There's always a lot of different distractions pulling at them. And that creates inconsistency with even the best top performers. So we don't add work for those that are already, kind of struggling to get everything done. We actually make their job easier and relieve that. So they have less to think about. Simply getting the ZipDeal via the client's cell phone into their hands and letting them walk through it in less than 10 minutes. And they can cover, I don't know, sometimes 12, 15 different steps that they used to have to remember to do. In the midst of being distracted, sales manager calls them back up, or there's further delay in finance, whatever it may be. That automation isn't replacing their responsibilities. It's supporting them in those responsibilities.
Love that too. Okay, so I got one last one for you. And this is relative to the dealer audience. So for the dealers who may be watching and or listening, if they remember one thing on this conversation, what should that be?
I would say profit isn't random. It is definitely tied to process, but process is only good as its consistency. So if your CSI and reviews haven't been part of your profit strategy, that's what I'm encouraging you to do, is look at those for increased showroom traffic, higher PVRs, stronger service retention, more repeats and referrals. That's really what CSI and online reviews correlates to, which all funnels into the profit.
Awesome. Fantastic. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another session, another ZipDeal conversation. Today, well, we made one thing clear. Reputation isn't a soft metric. It's a predictable profit lever that grows stronger with what? Consistency. When every customer is guided through the same intentional, transparent process, CSI improves, reviews increase, and revenue follows. It's not magic. It's discipline delivered the same way every time. A big thanks to you, Marlo, always for joining us. Love these conversations. Love that you share your real world perspective from inside dealerships nationwide. If you're ready, listeners, viewers, to take a closer look at how ZipDeal can help your store eliminate revenue leaks and create consistency at scale, well, visit the website, www.zipdeal.com. Explore their YouTube channel, schedule a demo, take the next step. It's easy to do. Their team is just stacked with a whole bunch of really helpful, experienced folks. We always thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Until next time, keep building up that consistency. That's what's driving real results. And we'll see you again soon on another ZipDeal conversation.